right, welcome back, everyone. 2022, we are here to bring you the latest thoughts and opinions from Crazy Ant Media about what the entertainment industry is going to look like in this new landscape. Some things are opening back up, some things are closing, and there's a lot of executive decisions happening behind the scenes that we're very, very excited to talk about, especially when streaming comes into play. That's a lot of different crazy stuff that goes down in Hollywood. But you guys know your host with the most, myself, JLo Fantastic, and the one and only Mouth.
What's up?
Is It Worth It? Episode 3 is here, and it's live on Space right now, and you can watch it later on YouTube Saturday during the day.
Yes.
But man, oh man, we figured that we will go through all the majors, basically the 5 majors, and just talk about what we think they're going to do in this upcoming year, because there's a lot of different things that are going on with each different company, and we're given estimates on how long some executives are going to stay on the throne and not. So it's going to be fun, it's going to be exciting, and we want to know your thoughts and opinions. So be sure to comment in the thread if you're listening on Space, and be sure to comment in the comment sections if you're watching on YouTube.
Yeah, because really it was the decisions that they made and the things that they did in 2021 worth it?
Right.
That's the real question.
That's the real
question.
Is
it worth it? Was everything that you did in 2021 worth it for 2022?
Exactly.
And okay, so yeah, let's start with the biggie.
Always.
The Mouse House, because that's the one that everybody, regardless of what everybody will tell you, that's the one everybody wants to be.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We have differing opinions on this a little bit. Because I'm not a Chapek fan.
Yeah.
I'm not a Chapek fan, and if he survives the year, it's going to be a milestone, in my opinion. Maybe they give him a year, maybe they don't. I think he's misstepped several times. Whether that was, like you and I had talked about, because Iger was still over his shoulder, even though he had stepped away and was just kind of like, creative content.
Yeah, he was still there, though. Yeah.
Right. So, was that? But he had some missteps, and those missteps cost them. Like, the Black Widow, the biggest.
For sure.
Not only did it piss her off in a lawsuit and all kinds of stuff, but then we, recently $600 million in pirated losses because of the movie being pirated, which much easier to do when it's on streaming as opposed to only in theaters.
For sure.
I have a thought. I think that there's a guy waiting in the wings that is ready, willing, and able to take over Disney if Chapek fails. And I'm going to tell you who that is when we get there. But I have a thought. I'm not a fan of Chapek. I don't like what he's done so far. I don't think he gets it. That there you go. I think Disney's in trouble. I think Disney is in trouble under his guidance. I think that, they'll survive because they're the Mouse House and they have too much content and too much history and too much name recognition and brand. Not to survive, but I think they're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, for granted, though, I feel like you were such a big Iger fan that you never even gave this man a chance.
But to be fair, I was a huge Eisner fan, and everybody thought I'd never give Iger a chance.
Yeah.
And I gave, Iger had to swoo me, which is pretty easy after he bought Marvel.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, it's same thing, but
I feel like he had a huge, like hurdle to get over, and that being the pandemic. And of course, that throws everything all into whack. I gave this man a chance for the first while. I was even like, okay, you wanted to put Black Widow on Disney Plus as the same day as theatrical, because I get it, the landscape and the time that we're in, and you're probably basing all of these thoughts and opinions off of HBO Max, and in my opinion, their fabricated numbers that they're putting out and things like that. So, I wasn't even that mad at that. But then, of course, when the lawsuit came out with Scarlett Johansson, that's when things were just like, okay, hold up. You didn't even go back and renegotiate the contract or even consider talking to her about this decision that you are going to make that benefits are that jeopardizes her money. that is her money that she could have made so much off of her first solo film in the MCU. So I feel like that is the turning point for me. Like I said, I gave him a chance. Probably, I feel like that was probably the first 3 months, 3 or 4 months, something like that. But then after that, things just started going downhill. And I mean, I'm with you. I do think Disney is really in trouble. They are focusing a lot on their streaming platform, which is Disney Plus. And I mean, that has been amazing since its launch, but it has slowed down its subscriber growth this past couple quarters. I will say. I mean, we talk about it all the time on Inside the Crazy Ant Farm. Oh, Disney hit this milestone. Disney hit this milestone. They weren't supposed to hit that till 2024 and shit like that. But it definitely has slowed way down now because I feel like they aren't putting out. I mean, we have all this amazing content. I will say that. We have all these Marvel shows, and we now have the second live action Star Wars show, which a lot of people are excited about. But I don't know. There needs to be more of an it factor. You have an it factor maybe twice a year when it comes to the Star Wars and Marvel, but you need to have more than just that. And I feel like that is what's really going to get them in trouble.
And here's the thing too, and to be fair, we want to clarify, the subscribers are still growing at much faster than it was anticipated. It's still a much faster growth than anybody anticipated, but it has slowed down. That doesn't mean it's still not above pace. It is, but it has slowed down. Here's my thing, though. The biggest MCU movie, okay, as far as overall the critics loved it, the audience loved it, everything, and might just be at some point the biggest moneymaker. Not yet, but could be. Won't even be on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I know.
See, and we talk about this all the time. There is something that if Chapek wants to prove his worth with Disney, he's got to pull off a major move, like Eisner did with the creation of Hollywood Pictures and Touchstone Pictures and Hollywood Records and keeping the mouse, but also understanding that you have to diversify, you have to get adult audiences, you have to do major things. There were major contributions that Eisner made to change the face of the Mouse House.
Yeah.
Iger did the same thing with the Lucasfilm and with Marvel and with Star Wars and these major purchases and Pixar, saving Pixar and bringing it back to the family. Chapek needs a move like that. And I think, and we've talked about it, and I think you think too, Sony Pictures is the move.
Yeah.
If there is any way to prove your worth and make a huge, significant milestone and cement yourself, it's to get all of the characters finally back. Get Spider-Man back where he belongs. Get the Hulk back where he belongs and make it happen. Because, I mean, how many people are probably completely unaware that Spider-Man No Way Home will not even be... Yeah. Sony doesn't have a streamer. So it's going to have to go somewhere, and it's not going to be on Disney Plus, even though they have this great deal where, they have the chummy favorite. Okay, we both love Holland. We're both making it. Why aren't any of the other Spider-Man movies on Disney Plus? Because they won't put them on Disney Plus.
Exactly.
So that's a problem moving forward with the streamer, I think, as far as Disney goes. And that's a thing that Chapek, in my opinion, could show some worth with.
Yeah, that's definitely the major way to show his dreams and aspiration goals with the company, because that's the only way I feel like he could make it to 10 years. I don't know if they'll shell him out in a year or less, because I think they need to give him a chance, and I think the board feels the same way about that. But I don't think that he's going to have an Eisner run or an Iger run or anywhere close to that. So it's definitely going to be interesting. Of course, we love Disney and we hope the best for him, but I don't think it's the right captain steering the ship.
Well, and remember, it's not just the streaming. Both Alan Horn and Alan Bergman. Out of there at Warner Brothers. At Disney Pictures, Walt Disney Pictures. So
huge people.
I mean, you're going to have to bring in new people to run Walt Disney Studios. Yeah. So not only are you now Marvel Studios, it's good. Fine. Star Wars,
Lucas,
good.
Fine.
Pixar still do, but Walt Disney Studios puts out massive content also, and that's going to be under whole new leadership. So I don't know.
And we were talking about too. This guy came from the parks. He was head of the parks. But he didn't really do a lot with the parks while he was there. He was just maintaining. He didn't even do anything that was like global phenomena since he became in charge of that.
I mean, Iger was the one that was full on, like, blown out, bringing it over to, to Asia and everything, So, Chapek, I don't know.
I know.
I don't know. Okay, so the main competitor, right?
Yep.
Main competitor, you got to go to the bunny. You got the mouse, you got the bunny.
For sure.
Warner. Now, this is going to get really interesting really fast, guys, because AT&T is spinning it off. They're getting rid of it. They're getting rid of Warner, right? Warner Media. It's going to merge with Discovery. Will be known as Discovery Warner Media, which I already think is a mistake. It should be Warner Media Discovery or Warner Discovery. Warner should be the primary because it's been around way longer than Discovery. The branding, the name, the history, that should be on the front. I know Discovery's like, well, we've got the money and we're like, it doesn't matter. Warner should be the front name. Time Warner was a mistake. They realized that. Like Warner should be the. Aside from that, this is supposed to be, all these reports came out today. This is likely going to be a done deal by April.
Yeah.
Like full spun off, regulations cleared, merger done, April. That's not very long, guys. That's it. So, and now here's my thing. I said that there's a guy that I think that could jump right in and steer the ship straight at Disney if Chapek fails. And that's Jason Kilar. Jason Kilar is currently the CEO of Warner Media.
Yeah.
David Zaslav has said, we're going to merge, everything's going to be fine, but he's also kind of hinted in every way possible without actually saying it that there's no place for Kilar once it's merged.
Yeah.
Zaslav wants to run it all.
Yeah.
So where does that leave Kilar? And if you guys have been paying any attention, Jason Kilar seems okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like, if we merge and I'm not there and I'm out of there. So I think it's because he knows there's a real shot at Disney.
Yeah.
And remember, guys, Kilar came from Hulu. He's got a relationship with Disney already. So I feel like if Chapek just missteps even just once, Kyler's there to come take the ship at Disney. And then where does that leave Discovery Warner Media?
Right.
Because
I know, and he's such a younger guy too. So if he
like
came
50,
in and like proved himself, I feel like he could have a long tenure at Disney. So it'd be very interesting. And something else that is going to be very interesting for Discovery Warner Media is going to be this is going to end 2021 ended the same day streaming theatrical. So with these new Warner Brothers movies coming out, are they going to recoup a lot of that money and also bring back a lot of creators that they have built these relationships with and continue building the further relationships with and continue working with them, like Patty Jenkins and Christopher Nolan? Definitely.
Oh, Christopher Nolan. He's not coming. He's made that perfect. He's never working with them again.
Yeah.
He's made that perfect. Jenkins seems to be, hey, we're going to get one. Now, what happens after Wonder Woman 3?
Yeah.
Who knows? Because she's already with Disney making a Star Wars film.
Exactly.
So who knows? But you're right. And then another thing, too, that we just recently saw, they finished the year with 78 million subscribers.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, that's HBO Max and HBO, not
together.
just HBO Max.
Yeah.
But Disney has, Hulu and ESPN and,
exactly.
in
That's
their
all
numbers
factored
as well.
in. Yeah.
So... But my question is were those numbers, did we see that nice bump in numbers for subscribers for Warner because they knew they could see, that was the only place they could see those movies?
Yeah.
They weren't going to be in theaters. That was the only place. So did a bunch of people sign up just to see their 2021 run of movies? And will they bail now that that's not going to be the case
then
anymore?
drop off, yeah.
Right. So we'll see if that's the case. All kinds of weird stuff going on, though. As you guys know, Warner Media is one of the main majority owners of the CW, along with Viacom CBS. They're talking about they want to get rid of it. They want to sell the majority ownership in it. Apparently, there's buyers interested. One of them, I think it's Now, for the life of me, I can't think of it off the top of my head. But it's the broadcasting system that has the most stations, the most that are showing the CW.
Yeah.
Which that kind of makes sense. I think it's Tribune, maybe, or the company that brought Tribune. But anyway, they're the most local stations or syndicated stations that carry the CW, and I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But my question with that is that, and I get it only because in the sense that all of the people that created the CW, they're all gone.
Yeah.
Right? Because for anybody who's not old as dirt like me, the CW was not the CW. It was two different. It was the UPN network and the WB.
Yeah.
And they got this idea that we're going to cancel UPN, we're going to cancel the WB, and we're going to merge them together in this new channel, the CW. And that's how it started, and that's where but all the people, the masterminds behind that merger are all gone. Les Moonves, everybody's gone. So it makes sense to me that maybe they just kind of want to sell it off. But you and I, and let's just talk about this for a little bit, because this was a good conversation between me and you earlier. The vast majority of the shows on the CW, and don't get me wrong, the CW is successful. Nobody thought it would be around ever, for as long, and it's 15 years, 20 years later. But the vast majority of the content is DC. It's the Arrowverse.
Exactly.
Let's be honest about it. And so DC Properties, which is Warner Media owned, they own DC Comics. So my next question is if you're willing to sell off the majority stake in the CW, which is basically DC's home.
Yeah.
It's
like, why not just bring all these DC shows to HBO Max and then make those HBO Max originals? That will help you build that subscriber base and help you gain more. Yeah, I just feel like
they did that with DC Universe.
Yeah.
They got rid of that and brought all the shows over onto HBO Max. So will the Arrowverse survive on HBO Max? Or even more shocking, will Warner Media decide to sell off DC Comics? Will they finally just say, we can't fucking compete with Marvel? We can't do it.
Yeah.
We just can't get it done. Everything we try to do does not work, with the exception of maybe, Wonder Woman and Aquaman.
Yeah.
But they keep trying and trying and trying and trying. Will that be a long rumored, hey, we're going to dump DC Comics too?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that would be a huge mistake.
I think so too.
Huge mistake.
Because, that's a huge, revenue stream for them. And, that's where mass majority of their audience comes from, is the DCEU. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting. And it's the exact same situation. You brought up DC Universe, and it's the exact same situation. Just dump the freaking website, dump the platform, and just completely merge it into what you have now and what you're trying to build around. I think that's the smartest way to go about it. And yeah, I just don't think Viacom wants anything to do with it, to be honest.
Yeah, no, they're clearly moving in their own direction.
Yeah.
They don't, Viacom CBS is Paramount for anybody
Plus,
who doesn't know.
yeah.
So yeah, Paramount Plus and the Paramount Network, and so they've got their own thing going, and they're trying to bring all in house and their branding. It makes sense to get rid of, because like I said, most of the CW's Arrowverse and DC.
Yeah.
Paramount is Star Trek, and they've got their own shit they want to brand and bring out. So it makes sense to me that they want to bail on it.
Yeah, exactly. And going over to Paramount and Viacom CBS, everything's been very strange with them the past couple years. Just trying to navigate the industry, trying to figure out who's not a shady motherfucker who is abusing women or harassing women. So
which someone is still employed.
Still employed. Just saying. If you listen to us religiously, you know exactly who we're talking about. But I think Paramount Plus is going to be interesting this upcoming year. I don't think that they're going to even come close to HBO Max numbers, but I think that if they put more content on there, like they're saying, bringing back Ink Masters, bringing back these old shows like Real World and different things like that, I think they will see a nice gain of subscribers when it comes to the age demographic of probably mid-20s to late 50s, honestly, because everybody from the 90s remembers those shows, and they'd want to see a revamp of each one of those. So I think that's the best way to do it. Reality TV for them, to be honest.
Well, okay, here's where, if they Brian Robbins, who, by the way, it's funny that we said that, Viacom CBS just wants to get rid of the CW and all the DC shows and everything. The current CEO of Paramount, right, not Viacom CBS, Paramount, which is a subsidiary of Viacom CBS, but Paramount, Brian Robbins created Smallville.
Yeah.
Of which pretty much the entire Arrowverse is based on.
Yep.
Okay, you remember Brian Robbins, Talon's head of the class? Woo, that guy, he's running it all now, right? He's running it all. If he was a smart man, he would do what Stars did with 50 Cent, and he would just give Taylor Sheridan, just do whatever you want.
Right.
Because, listen, if you want Paramount Plus to compete, there's a couple of winners, right? You've got The Good Fight, which is doing massive numbers. It's the spinoff from The Good Wife, and it's been on there 5 years now.
Yeah.
It's doing massive numbers. Original Star Trek shows, Discovery, all of the Picard, all of their original Star Trek shows are kicking ass. But I'm telling you, Yellowstone, 1883,
Yep.
Mayor of Kingstown, whatever that guy touches is gold, and it does huge numbers. Other than Super Bowls, guys and gals, other than Super Bowls and or sporting events, Yellowstone was the only thing that made it in the highest rated shows of the year last year.
Yeah.
On network television or cable television. Yellowstone.
Exactly.
That's massive. So that's how Paramount Plus, and if you notice, you can't, Paramount Network, right? Yellowstone shifted to Paramount Plus, right? And you have to pay for it to watch it. And you kind of unless you catch it live. But I really do think that's if you want to compete, that's where you go.
Yeah.
You go to him and you just keep making shit.
Yeah.
Because everything he's touching right now is gold and it's huge. And I think if they were smart, they'd let that guy just do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
Sign him to a big long ass contract and let him do what he wants to do.
Yeah. My only worry about Brian is he seems like he's in Sherry's pocket, Sherry Redstone's pocket.
Well, because he was streamer friendly.
Yeah.
And that's what she's long wanted,
Yeah.
right? So, which hence the emphasis on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
Because he was just all of a sudden out of nowhere, hey, you're the head of Nickelodeon. Hey, you're the head of Paramount Pictures.
Exactly.
Hey, you're the head of Paramount. Whoa, what?
Yeah, it all happened very quickly.
Yeah.
And there's so much inner turmoil when it comes to the board and the executives at Paramount and Viacom CBS, so it's just very, very interesting to see how that will be moving forward, and hopefully we don't see any more of these inner turmoil articles come out, because they seem to have come out, I feel like, every 3 or 4 months. So
They do. I will say this. They have to clean up their shit.
they do.
Because they do have issues on the inside.
they do.
It's a shady. It seems like every other week somebody is reporting something about some shit going on. Not to say that other people don't. To Goldberg's, ABC, they have it too. But CBS, it's like every other week something is. And if you listen to our industry news, you got to get that shit cleaned up.
Exactly.
You thought you did the culture, Les Moonves is gone. No. There was a culture, a long-standing culture.
Yeah.
Clearly, it's still going on. And if you're going to be successful moving forward, at some point, some way, somehow, you got to clean that shit up.
Completely agree, man. Completely agree. And now, Peacock, I feel like they're just standing still. I don't think Peacock is going to go anywhere this upcoming year. I don't think they're comfortable with taking chances. I think that's their biggest thing.
Yeah, well, and it's odd because, the Peacock streaming service, it's NBC Universal, right?
Yeah.
NBC Universal is owned by Comcast, which is one of the, if not the largest cable providers, right? So I don't understand why the emphasis is not more on Peacock. And you would think that a company that built its empire on the backs of cable television would know a little something about getting a streamer off the ground and making a streamer successful. Although streamers are competing with cable now, but they should have the know-how, the framework to make this work, and it's miserable.
Well, I think that's probably what their problem is. They're focusing so much on keeping cable alive.
They don't want to kill their parent company.
So they're not really promoting Peacock like they should be, like you see all these other companies doing. So, like I said, I just don't think they're going to go. They have no traction.
So okay, if the future is indeed streaming, right? And it would seem so because all the majors are focusing massively on, except for Sony.
Yeah, except for Sony.
But they all seem to be putting the emphasis there, right? So if Comcast is indeed a cable company, a cable empire built that way and everything, and streaming is the future, do you think that at some point, somewhere, somebody should be smart enough to go, you know what, these things just don't mix, and should Comcast sell off NBC Universal? Should another merger happen? Should another one of these majors buy up NBC Universal? I mean, because you're right.
Question.
It's a competing. If you don't want to kill cable, but you're a cable company that owns a studio that has a streamer, how does that not become a conflict?
Yeah.
And maybe that is exactly why Peacock is flailing. Like it's just, and remember, it's not growing subscribers, it's not making money, it's losing money, it's bleeding money, and it's one of the only ones you have to pay for.
Yeah.
Like you have to pay for it, and it's still losing money. So I don't know.
I know, yeah. I mean, it has the free tier. Obviously, you have to pay for all of them,
Right.
But it's the only one that has the free tier, and like. But all the good stuff is behind the paywall.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So, I don't see a lot happening for NBC Universal and Peacock, so that one's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
and
I
mean, Netflix is just, they came out with some great content this past year. Not going to lie. I watched Don't Look Up. Don't Look Up is fucking hilarious, and it's also, like, great in the sense of, like, not exposing the government, but showing everyone how the government confronted COVID. And I just think it was absolutely hilarious. And that's what we all need, comedy. I think the comedy is a huge thing that helps us continue moving forward.
Well, and you brought that up, and that's good because Netflix made a major announcement. In case anybody missed it, it was a big, huge announcement, though, and we have long been, along with everybody else, poking fun at Netflix movies, right? A Netflix movie is it's a Netflix movie.
Yeah, but they're getting bigger and bigger.
They have made the decision that they are no longer going to make those movies. They are going to limit how many movies they make. They're going to be huge budget movies like Red Notice and like Don't Look Up.
Yep.
And they're going to be loaded with A-lister stars. You are not going to see the typical Netflix movie anymore. They've made that decision. They're not doing it. We're focusing on $200 million blockbuster films with A-listers, and we're making less of them per year than we were just rolling out. Now that's great news for people that like those movies. Horrible news for indie people that were
filmmakers.
Getting stuff done on Netflix and making things happen on Netflix. But I think they finally realized that they were getting kind of like doinked at.
They were.
And now with these other streamers, major movies are coming to those streamers, and they have to compete with that now.
Exactly.
They can't do their little kissing booth and compete with Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah.
Or what you see, I mean, because Batgirl and all these movies that are being made specifically for the streamers with A-list, you can't have kissing booth.
Yeah,
you got to do,
Well, I mean, I've long been saying that Netflix should just focus on their television projects, like their series, because those are much more successful than their films have ever been. But now, with like times changing, everybody has a streamer. I think this probably is the best move moving forward for them to just focus on these high budget films, and maybe that for these indie filmmakers, maybe they make the movie, but then it'd be like a Sundance. You can try to sell it to them after they make the movie. But I mean, I know that's a lot of money up front for these people who relatively don't have any money, but I think that's the way to do it because indie filmmaking, it's hard to be an indie filmmaker. We know. We have a lot of friends that know. But putting your things on streaming platforms is just getting harder and harder. I think the best one to do that right now is Amazon. But it used to be Netflix, which it's kind of a shame that it's not going to be that way anymore.
Agreed. And you're right about the shows being, but you know what they do really well also that they should do more of is saving shows.
Agreed. Yeah.
Right? They had huge success with Lucifer. They saw huge success with Cobra Kai. Yeah, I'm sure Manifest is going to be a huge success for them.
Yeah.
I feel like Netflix is the place to go if you're in trouble on another network, right, or another wherever you're at. That's the place to go to. They've had huge success there. I think that they should continue that.
Yeah.
They're really good with their original content. Unfortunately, they don't seem to ever give long periods of time for their original content. And I hope that doesn't get even worse now that they're spending so much money on the movies. Oh, we don't have the budget to give you 4 seasons. We can only do 2 seasons or whatever. I hope not. But I do think that they're really good at acquiring properties that were formerly in trouble but have a huge fan base and saving them. And I think that they should do more of that because they're available. Yep. And we're about to see how that works with All Rise on OWN, which, by the way, will be exclusively now on Hulu. That all kind of came, so you'll be able to watch it on Hulu as well. They just signed that deal. So yeah, there's when you're strictly a streamer and you don't have all the other stuff that all these other studios have, you got to come up with unique ways to survive, and I think that's one of them.
I think so too, and I've been saying this for a while, but I haven't brought it up in a while, a long time, is the virtual reality. I think they need to get more into that. They dabbled in it a little bit with the interactive stuff with like the Man vs. Wild guy and like the Black Mirror film that they put out where the person watching the film can choose your ending. You can choose what direction the main character goes. I think that is a very interesting and hot idea, and especially when VR becomes more accessible to people to where you're going to have a headset and controllers and all these things inside of your home, inside of every home across the world, basically. I think that is going to be implemented more, and I think the way they're dabbling in it a little bit now, and like I said, when the VR headsets get to everywhere, it's going to be like Ready Player One. Like you're just going to be able to live in this world, and I think Netflix might be able to take you to that point.
Well, and they started it kind of back, like you said, a few years ago, but you know who's been dumping a ton of money into it and will likely take control of it if Netflix does not continue? Apple.
Yeah.
Apple has made it perfectly clear that virtual reality will be a part of their platform moving forward as well, and they've been dumping money into it over the past couple of years. By the way, which also, Apple, if you haven't checked it, they have some really good original content.
They do.
They really do. Their series, their films, it's really good content.
They're in their own lane. I mean, let's just jump to them. They're in their own lane when it comes to films and TV shows, and they're not trying to compete. I mean, obviously, they have the money, so they're just like, whatever. Everybody has a streaming platform, so we figure we might as well too. But literally, every single thing that I've watched from Apple, I've loved.
Me too.
And I mean, like I said, they're in their own lane. They're not worried about anyone else. They're just completely focused on the creators and making good content, and I think that in the long run, not right now when everybody's trying to duke it out in the ring, but in the long run, I think that's going to take them so far.
I do. Yeah, they have the money to be choosy.
Yeah.
They don't have to pump out a bunch of stuff. They can just randomly like, okay, we like that one, and take risks because they have the money. They're not so cash strapped like the majors are, right? Because let's be fair about all the studios are massively in debt. That's just it's rollover debt. But Apple is not.
No, not at all. They're fine.
Yeah, so they've got a lot of cash on hand,
yeah.
So they can take chances and they don't have to pump out content at the rate that these other ones do, and I like that.
I do too.
Yeah, you're right. I just think that's really good.
And another one that's kind of in their own lane, doing their own thing because they have a whole bunch of cash. And the one we're going to end with is Amazon. Amazon Studios, they're able to basically do whatever they want. They got a couple of huge shows out like Hunters, Marvelous Miss Maisel, and The Boys and things like that. But you can also find these indie projects. That's what Netflix lost that Amazon kind of gained. You can just upload your project and get paid for it. I think that is absolutely amazing without having to actually pitch your idea. I think that is going to take Amazon so far, and it's giving the opportunity so much to these younger creators, to these less known creators, to giving them a platform to have this mass audience finally see their content.
Yes, I agree 1,000%. And, if you're a filmmaker and you're given a platform to put your stuff out there, and, what better way to do it?
Exactly.
I mean, it's brilliant. And yeah, I think we're going to, I think the point of whether we see Amazon thrive or fail will be the upcoming Lord of the Rings.
Agreed.
Where
They're spending
dumped
so
gazillions
much money.
of dollars into this thing, and will Jennifer Sulky be successful or not successful?
Yeah.
I think we'll linger on that decision about Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, and so we should just leave it with the one burning question going into 2022, I think that everybody has on their mind, and will it be answered in 2022, or will we have to wait further, is MGM.
Yeah, right.
Is it for sale? Is it not for sale? Who will acquire it if it is for sale? Because that is a massive film library with some extremely valuable content. James Bond, just like one.
Right.
So. There. That's the question. We're just gonna leave it at that. We don't know. But it's been for sale and not for sale forever. So is it or is it not? And who's gonna get it? That's 2022.
Exactly, man. Exactly. I'm excited for the next year, though. I think it's going to be really good. I'm interested to see how, because we are going back and forth when it comes to the pandemic. Like, some things are shutting down. They're telling people to stay home. Will theaters shut back down? I really hope not, because people are kind of starting to bob and weave and navigate this pandemic and starting to get back to work and work with everything. So I'm just interested to see how 2022 is going to be, but I'm super excited about it because it's the year of the ant, and we're going to be doing a lot of amazing things.
Yes, we
but
are.
In the overall entertainment industry, I'm pumped. I'm pumped to see what everybody's going to do.
Yeah, it all comes down to content and streaming.
Yeah.
Whether movies succeed, fail, and it's all going to come down to what happens to their streamers.
Exactly.
Because that will dictate box office. And I mean, just, yeah.
Completely agree, man. Completely agree. Well, guys, next week we will be back with another episode of Inside the Crazy Ant Farm 2022, bringing back some amazing things. We're super excited about it, and that is January 15th, I believe. So be sure to stay tuned for that. We're super excited about it. Year 5.
We're kicking off the 5th year of the podcast. That is so insane.
Wild.
Wow.
I know. We got some super amazing people we're going to have on this show, so stay tuned for all of that. You guys know we're working tirelessly on so many different things. We got some amazing people a part of the team now, and they've just been rocking and rolling, so we appreciate all of them. But everybody, be sure to like and follow and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, ItCaf Podcast and Crazy Ant Media. The same on Instagram, ItCaf Podcast and Crazy Ant Media. And you guys know you can follow us both individually on all social media platforms. We make it easy. We have the same handle for everything.
We do.
So mine is JLo Fantastic, and
mine is Crazy Ant Guy 1970.
Yes, sir. We are anywhere and everywhere, guys, and we love the interaction, and we love just sitting down and having a conversation. I think that's what the beauty of Is It Worth It is. If we can just dive deep into these topics that we can only, a little touch on during the podcast. So it's going to be a great year. We're super excited, and reach out, man. We're super excited. We want to look at other people's projects. So if you have a project out there that you're trying to get made, reach out to us. info@crazyantmedia.com. So we're super excited. We hope you have an amazing year. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We appreciate you. Get crazy, stay crazy. Deuces.
Yes, and good luck, Chappick.
Good luck, Chappick.